this video is brought to you by Noir, maker of the most innovative, most accurate, and most effective bullets and ammunition in the industry.
This is the Kimber R7 Mako. So I did a video on this gun, I want to say about a year ago. And in that video, I gave it a pretty decent review. But since then, it's had a bit of controversy in that there was a recall done on some of the earlier models, but Kimber has since rectified that to my knowledge. But I wanted to talk about this gun from the standpoint that I feel like this gun is rather underrated. And I think it's more so me than the vast majority of people. But I want to talk about the 5 reasons why I think this gun is underrated. And I want to first start off with the looks. So when I first saw this gun, I saw it online in pictures. Kimber sent me this gun, but before sending me the gun, they sent me kind of like a super secret sauce brochure on a PDF file online with an image of the gun. And I didn't think the gun was ugly, but in pictures it was a bit underwhelming. And so for me, I thought, okay, I'm used to Kimber making extremely beautiful 1911s with a lot of personality and a lot of flair. And I wasn't getting that from this gun. Now, in all fairness, it's a polymer gun, so you're not gonna get the same personality and flair from a polymer gun that you would get from a 1911. However, when I got the gun in hand and I opened the box after Kimber sent it to me and I looked at it, I thought to myself, that's actually a pretty good looking gun. And I know there's some people out there, if you haven't handled the gun in person, you're gonna look at this and you're gonna say, no, it's not. It's not a good looking gun at all. It looks kind of wonky a little bit, almost looks a little awkward. And you know, I'll give you that. But just like there are some women out there who kind of look awkward, but there's a sexiness about their awkwardness, that's what this Mako is kind of like. It's a good looking gun in hand. I mean, look, it's all subjective. Call it what you want. I think personally, in person, so objectively, this is a good looking gun. To me personally, I think it's a really attractive looking gun. And I didn't give it its due credit aesthetically that I might have or should have given it when I first saw it. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's underrated. It's to me, one of the better looking subcompact, double stack, high capacity polymer frame firearms out there right now. Sue me if you disagree. Now I want to talk about quality. The quality of this gun is another thing, keeping in tow with looks, where you have to just feel it. If you just look at it online and you see it in pictures, and even in videos, you're gonna think to yourself, okay, it's just another polymer gun, like all the rest of the polymer guns out there. Now, I'm not saying this is revolutionary in terms of polymer fired guns. However, I will say the way this gun feels in hand, in terms of the materials that are used, like even the type of polymer that's used. I don't know specifically what it is, but it feels of a higher quality polymer than most other polymer guns that I've got my hands on. There's a deep, dark black richness to the way it looks, but then even the way it feels, this granulated texture here, this texturing feels amazing. And then even the trigger, this isn't plastic. This is a metal, this is from what I can gather, a metal shoe on the actual trigger. You don't get that very often on a lot of guns. Even the slide, just the density and the overall feel, and it's like a quality, dense kind of feeling that you get from this gun that you wouldn't expect just looking at it in pictures. And so when you get it in hand, you start to realize, man, this is Kimber type stuff, because Kimbers are known for their 1911s, their beautiful high quality 1911s. Now, I know there are gonna be some people out there who are like, I disagree with that, but no, Kimber's had that reputation, and by and large, they still do. And I think for a company that majority makes 1911s, and this being one of their first polymer striker fire guns, I think this is in keeping with the quality of what their 1911s are. And so I don't think I really gave it due justice when I talked about it initially or when I first saw it. But once I got it in hand and started to feel it, the quality of this gun is, I mean, just even the sights. If you look at the sights here, even this front red dot here, and I talk about, I'm not really typically a true glow fan when it comes to sights, but I mean, these are great. I don't have a problem with them. I like them a lot. You got this rear, got serrations on the rear so that you kind of mitigate any glare that you may get from the sun. And just the overall details on the gun kind of give it a very quality feel that I think a lot of other guns in this space may or may not live up to.
Before you finish watching this video, I want to take the time to thank today's sponsor, Gunspot. Gunspot is the newest website improving the 2A listing and auction space, as well as giving the 2A community a blog space to view 2A content. And I just want to say thank you, Gunspot, for supporting the channel.
Now I want to talk about the way this gun shoots. Even though I talked about this gun being incredibly aesthetic, I also said there's a certain awkwardness about the way it looks. And I have to say that this gun shoots really well. And it surprised me how well this gun shot, because I didn't expect it to. Because it does kind of have this awkward look to it, where even with the angle of the back strap, the way the slide, how thick the slide is, how high it kind of sits, it doesn't give you, oh, this gun is gonna be a shooter. It seems like it's just purpose-driven to be a small subcompact gun with a double stack magazine. But when I shot this gun, compared to say like my 43X, which I was very comfortable with, I was shooting this gun way more accurately than my 43X. Truth be told, I was shooting it better overall than my 43X, which I have a ton of rounds through. And I think I fought it for a little bit because I did not want that to be the case. I didn't want this to feel, I mean, this is their first polymer striker fired gun in this space. So for me, I'm like, how could this be something that I shot better than something that I've been carrying for so long? But I did. And I mean, the results speak for themselves. When I took it and just shot it purely for accuracy, it did that. When I wanted to run the gun fast, the gun runs. I feel comfortable running it fast because the way this trigger is, it's that rolling breakthrough trigger that allows me to just dump with this firearm in a controllable manner, in which I do a lot better with this than I would on my Glock 43X. So from a shootability standpoint, if I had to take a shot and it was purely based on accuracy, I would probably pick this gun over my 43X to do it. Simply because it does shoot so well, and surprisingly so. I'll be the first to admit that. So that's another reason why I think this gun is underrated, at least from my perspective. So the next thing I want to talk about is the size of the Mako 7. Honestly, on face value, and you're gonna notice this is a relative theme here. This idea that if you just look at it in pictures or you just see it in videos, you're gonna have one perspective of it, but then when you actually get it in hand, it'll change. This gun, size-wise, seems a lot bigger than most of the guns in its space or its class. Even holding it in your hand, because this gun, that's the one knock I will give this gun. It is heavier than a lot of its counterparts. However, that weight is a quality, dense weight, and it translates into the shooting aspect of the way this gun shoots too. But I digress. Coming back to the size, this gun seems a lot bigger than, say, for instance, the Glock 43X, which I think is a close competitor to this gun. Of course, you got the Springfield Hellcat Pro, the SIG P365. This gun is actually right on par with size-wise with the rest of those guns. And this gun actually carries really well. Notwithstanding the fact that it's a little bit heavier, it carries well from an ergonomic standpoint. Like when you actually carrying the gun on your body, you don't notice it. It doesn't feel like it's a much bigger gun considering the way it looks, because this gun doesn't present very thin. It presents kind of bulky visually, but physically it doesn't really do that. I can carry this gun and it doesn't really stick out that much considering. So the Mako 7, I keep calling it the Mako 7, it's the R7 Mako. So from a size perspective, it's on par with all of the other guns, but here's the beautiful thing about it though. It shoots bigger. So when it's in your hand and you're shooting, it feels like a bigger gun, which I think that's a positive. Because I don't want a small gun. I want a small gun to feel small while I'm carrying it, but I want it to feel like a bigger gun when I'm shooting it. Because at that point, size isn't an issue. I want it to feel big because a bigger gun gives me more confidence mentally. So that's what this gun does really well from a size perspective. It carries small, but shoots big. And I think that's something that a lot of people underestimate about this R7 Mako. So the last thing about this gun that I think is underestimated is its price. You see, Kimber is known for making 1911s, and they're not known for their affordable pricing of their 1911s. You knew if you were gonna get a Kimber 1911, you were gonna pay for it. Well, I didn't expect anything less when it came to their polymer gun. So when they released this, I was surprised that with just without the optic and with the night sights, we're sitting at around $500 to $600, which doesn't make it the cheapest affordable gun in the world, but what it does do is make it exceedingly competitive with all the other guns within its class. So from that perspective, when you talk about the quality that you get from this gun, the shootability you get from this gun, the concealability you get from this gun, the looks that you get from this gun, I think personally, that's what makes this gun incredibly underrated, because it's a gun that's well within reach for a lot of people who are looking for a gun in this class. And you're getting a super high quality firearm that you otherwise may not get. No, I'll take that back. I'm not gonna say you won't get that at that price point, but you are getting a gun that to me feels like a $700, $800 gun versus a $500, $600 gun. Now, if you get the optic on it, of course, you're gonna be sitting at the $700 price point, but that's, I mean, you're getting an optic, so there's that. Now, I'm gonna stop short of saying that it's the best in its class, largely because I can't say that with confidence, because I know there are so many other good guns out there who do an exceedingly good job at being what they are, considering what the Mako's trying to be as well. However, I will say it's going to give them a run for their money. I have to say that it will. And I think the biggest knock I will say is the capacity. But even then, compared to the 43X, this is 12+1. So it has a higher capacity than the 43X. And I gotta say, the 43X is a phenomenal gun. So what does that say about the Mako R7? And I think for me, what it is I have this weird kind of attachment to stuff that I've been using for a while. So it's harder for me to want to say, okay, well, this gun is better than that gun objectively, but then can I bring my subjectivity over to that objectivity? I know that sounds overly complicated, but basically that's just me saying, I think when I first shot this gun, I knew it was a good gun, but I didn't want to give it the chance of being better than some of the guns that I was already carrying and using at the time. So those are the 5 reasons why I think the Kimber R7 Mako is exceedingly underrated. So if you, like I said, if you're into Kimbers, you want a Kimber and you're a Kimber fanboy, this is a no-brainer. If you're not a Kimber fanboy and you're looking for a subcompact, double-stack polymer frame gun, I think you'd be foolish not to at least go pick this gun up, shoot it, and consider it, especially if you're looking for a gun in that $500 to $600 price range. There you have it. 5 reasons why I think the R7 Mako is underrated. However, I will say the one thing that's not underrated is that damn name that I seemingly cannot get right.
You know, we talk a lot about empowerment in this country, except for when it comes to the Second Amendment. However, I can't think of anything more empowering than having the most effective tool to protect you and your family. So help me spread this message by liking and sharing this video with everyone you know. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment, because the Second Amendment, when it said militia, it wasn't talking about the government. It was talking about you. Also, if you want to know where to find the I'm the Militia shirt and merchandise, click the I'm the Militia link in the description section of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, make sure you hit that bell symbol.